My name is Kelly Marshall. I'm a three-time recipient of the Microsoft OneNote MVP Award and, to my knowledge, the only Canadian female to receive this award to date. Today, I'm going to cover two topics. I will show you how to get OneNote set up correctly in your cloud storage location of choice, and I will introduce you to the different versions of OneNote. Let's get started with a brief overview of the three versions of OneNote. There's OneNote Online, there's the OneNote App for Windows 10, and there's OneNote 2016. All three versions are 100% free. There is no cost to download them or use them. You are required to create a free Microsoft account. You'll use your free Microsoft account's username and password to log in and access your notebooks. If you already have Outlook.com, OneDrive, Messenger, or Xbox Live, you have a Microsoft account, and you can click and sign in with it. As you can see, I have a personal one set up for my Outlook. One other point to make is that you may have a Microsoft account through your Office 365 subscription that you get through your business or through school, and you can sign in with that as well. Now, let's say you do not have one. We'll walk through creating a new account together. To start from scratch and create a brand new Microsoft account, click on the bottom button, enter an email address, it will tell you with a warning if someone else has already used that account name and give you an option to create a different one, and then create a password. Press next, and then sign in with your account. The first time you log in, Microsoft will automatically set up a default notebook called My Notebook, and it will be stored in your OneDrive account. One thing to notice is if we click on the task switcher, we can see a list of all the other features that you have as part of your Microsoft account. You get an email address, a list of contacts, a calendar, and the OneDrive, which is essentially a storage space. You should, for the free account, have 5 gigs of space to use. If you need more, you can pay for an Office 365 account, which will give you 1 terabyte of space and other features. By using the OneNote Online button, we can just see the notebooks that we have created so far. So automatically, My Notebook, you can see the title at the top, will come with a quick notes section and no pages. So we can click here to start making a new page. And if we want to, we can make a new section. And we can switch between these sections here. This is the online version of OneNote. You can tell because in the top left, they've clearly displayed that. This is the free browser version. So there's no download required as long as you have a browser, Edge, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, etc. installed on your machine or your device, you're good to go. The key disadvantage of OneNote Online is, as I said, you have to have an internet connection. So other versions of OneNote, the app and the 2016 version, allow you to work offline. Now, as you've created this notebook, let's say there was a scenario where you wanted to share some of your information with other people. What's nice about the online version, as the notebook owner, you must have a login. Other people do not need to have a login to see your notebook. If we click on the share button in the top right here, we can enter an email address, give them a quick note, and we can choose if we want them to be able to edit the notebook or only view the notebook. What's important is to make sure that you have the recipients don't need a Microsoft account selected, and then they'll be able to click the link, it'll open in their browser, and they can read, or if you switch back to edit the content. A key thing to keep in mind is that you are sharing the entire notebook. So if you want to separate, let's say, your projects from your personal information, you may want to have multiple notebooks created. The way to go about this is to click on the Notebooks button here. This will take you to the list of online notebooks you have, again, stored in your OneDrive. If you want to make more notebooks, there's a new button here. So we could say this is the Project X. We can create it. And then once it's ready, it'll auto open in OneNote Online again. And now I've created a page. I probably want to create a different section. Project X. Okay. And I'm going to move this page. Now, one thing we're noticing here is when we right click, we get more features that we can use. In this case, we don't easily have a way to move a page that I've put in the wrong section into the one I want. So this would be a situation where I'd want to open my notebook and take it off the OneNote Online version and open it up in the app or in the OneNote 2016 version. So how do we do that? Actually, before we get there, let's cover a few more features within the online version, and then we'll switch over. And the key I want to make is that in the online version, you do not have the full functionality that you do in the 2016 version. If you click on the tabs up here, you can see a number of buttons that you can click on to perform different tasks. What I've noticed is that over time, these buttons continue to increase. We have more functions available on each of the tabs, the ribbon at the top. What's really nice in the newer versions is you can type in here and look for features to see if they're available. New features or tools are being added monthly by the Microsoft OneNote team. Usually if a new tool is added, you'll see a pop-up on your screen when you open your notebook, and they'll explain what the feature is and give you a link to learn more. One thing that you'll notice is now that I have two notebooks created in my O365A Microsoft account, a challenge is switching between the two of them. You do have to click back on the Notebooks button and return to that full list. And you're noticing this is taking a couple seconds to move between the two. With the app, and more importantly with the 2016 one, moving between notebooks is quite seamless, and I'll show you what that looks like. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to press the Edit in OneNote button here on the top of the ribbon. This will launch the program that you have selected as your default OneNote program. In my case, I usually have it set to OneNote 2016. By default in Windows 10, the OneNote app will be your default program to open notebooks in. So I'm going to edit the notebook in OneNote. You'll notice a little pop-up. It's saying, did you mean to do that? Yes, I do want to open it. It's telling me it's going to open it in OneNote 2016. I say yes. Over here, we see the security warning. This is just saying, hey, are you sure that you trust this file? I created it, so yes, I do trust it. I do want to continue. While we wait for the program to load, what you'll notice is we get this little pane right here. It's just giving you an option in case something crashed that you can resume your editing in the online version. In this case, it's opening up just fine. So let me move that over. If this is the first time that you have ever opened OneNote 2016, it may prompt you for a username and for a password. The syncing that's occurring right now is all of the information that's being stored in the cloud in your OneDrive, the Microsoft cloud. So all that means is Microsoft servers that are over and being stored and protected and maintained by the Microsoft team has now been brought down to the machine or the device that you are on. So you can see I'm in the My Notebook, I've got my two sections up here, and I've got my pages on the left. Now, the first thing you'll notice is there are a lot of buttons going on in the 2016 version. We have quite a few tabs as well. So I kind of feel that the online version is a nice middle ground for people that understand OneNote and feel comfortable using the buttons that we use 90% of the time. If we go and look at this notebook in the app, you'll see a very big difference. So hold on while I set that up. The OneNote app for Windows 10 is a free download from the Windows App Store. Typically, if you have a device or a computer with Windows 10 pre-installed on it, the OneNote app will already be installed for you. In case it's not, let's walk through the steps. Click on your Start menu, go to the Store. You will have to be logged in. Type OneNote and choose the app. The benefits of this app tend to be that it's lightweight, simple to use, and best for people that like to draw, typically with a touchscreen device and their stylus. We'll talk more about this later. If you already have the OneNote app installed on your machine, you can press the Start menu, start typing the word OneNote, and this is where you'll see where it can be tricky for some users who may not understand the difference between the two. As we talked about before, OneNote 2016 is the desktop application. It's the full-featured version. OneNote is the app. It's the lightweight version, and we click on it to open it. Now, one thing you're going to notice is I already have a notebook open. I've been working away as Kelly Marshall, but in this demo, we're using the O365A account that I set up at the beginning of the video. The challenge is if I go into the back end and go to open a notebook, I only have the ability to open notebooks in one Microsoft account because I'm already logged in as Kelly Christina Marshall at Outlook.com. I do not have the ability to set up another Microsoft account. Now what you'll see here is the second account I have. It is a work account. It is an Office 365 account, a paid one. So I can add additional work accounts, but I don't have the ability to add additional personal free accounts. So the way to get around this is this. If you have this trouble and you want to switch, you can go down to the very bottom of the pane here and click on your login. And when you press add account, again, it's only going to give you work or school. So double click and then you'll have the ability to sign out. It's going to tell you that you're actually removing the account and it's going to make you close the application. Press remove. It's going to close all of the notebooks related to that account, and then you'll be able to add another Microsoft account. So we're going to log in, type our password, sign in, close the app, and reopen the app. There we go. Now we go back into the Backstage view and we decide we're not going to create a brand new notebook. We're going to choose more notebooks to look at our list of notebooks that we can access. We now see the O365A at Outlook.com notebooks. We'll open the My Notebook. Again, it'll take a few seconds to sync. It's pulling all of the information down. And we can now access these notebooks, sections, and pages in the app. The OneNote app, in my opinion, is the best version of OneNote for brand new users. This is because of the clean, simple interface that makes it easy and intuitive for new users to get familiar with some of the most basic elements of using OneNote. For some power users, the app can be a little bit frustrating. Certain features that you love and live for and use every day aren't available here. But at the same time, what I think it is best for those power users are those that have touchscreen devices, because the Draw tab makes this interface fantastic for using a stylus to draw or take handwritten notes. One advantage of the OneNote app that I love and use all the time that is not available in the other versions is the Recent Notes button. If we click here in the top left, we can see the back page view, and this is where the Recents Note button lives. What this allows you to see is a list of all the pages you have been working on over time, regardless of where they live. This is really handy when you have multiple notebooks open here in your pane. You can at a glance see the last page that you've been working on. A key thing to keep in mind is that it's not the last note that you viewed. It is the last note that you have edited or updated. So to show you how this works, let's open another notebook. Go to the navigation, click on More Notebooks, and we'll choose Project X. Like the online version of OneNote, it is a bit trickier to switch between notebooks. We have to do that extra click. We can't see that list of notebooks pinned or open at all times. So let's do some new things. We'll add some text. This is a new page. And we'll go into the Kelly section and we'll say Kelly's to-do list. And we will make this a bulleted list. And then we'll add one more page. We'll call this Next Steps. And we'll switch back into Project X and say Project X Plan, A, B, C, and over here, new page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got a bunch of different pages we've been working on. Now, if we wanted to try and remember where we had stored a page, we don't have to think about what notebook it's in. We can just go into our recent notes and we can see a list. Now, if we click down to Next Steps and we take some notes, you'll note that that page jumped to the top of the list. What's also really nice is when you click on the page, it gives you the name of the notebook it lives in and the name of the section it lives in. The other thing that's really unique to the app that is not available in the other versions is this preview of the page. It not only shows you text, if you had a page that had a drawing on it, very fancy, you'll actually see that that drawing is also visible in that preview. The benefit to this is that you don't have to open a page to see an idea of what is on it. If we flip back over to the 2016 version, you'll understand that the pages that we see on the right here is only giving us the page title. Now we'll switch over and go into our notebook pane. So this is that example I was mentioning about how in the 2016 version we can pin the notebooks pane open and see all of our notebooks at once that we have open. And if we go into File, press Open, I'm going to go, now you'll notice this is what I use for work and for my personal list. So I've got a lot of things going on here. If I go into my personal OneDrive for my O365A at Outlook, go into Documents, there's Project X. Now, what I love about the 2016 version that I mentioned before is I can have multiple accounts logged in at once. Very easy to navigate around the different parts of your life. So we're now opening that Project X notebook. It's at the bottom. It's syncing. You can always tell if something's syncing because you'll see that little green sync status symbol. We can click here to see the status of all the different notebooks that have been syncing. So right here at the bottom, we're still waiting for Project X to finish. What's nice about 2016 is it'll tell you the date and time that it's finished syncing as well. So if you really want to be sure of what's going on and that you've got the latest information, I'm going to close the sync one here. And as you can see, we've got all our different pages, and we'll go back to my notebook and navigate around. So without those page previews, you're really at a loss for what's going on. And also, the other point to make is there isn't a recent notes button here in that notebook pane. We can't just see the last 10, 20 pages that we've been working on throughout all these notebooks. So I'm going to close or minimize 2016 for now and talk a little bit more about the app. The other benefit to working within the app is you get a lot of the latest cutting edge new features that the OneNote team is coming out with. For example, converting to shapes. If we're drawing, we'll say with a blue pen, we turn on convert to shapes. we draw a square, if we draw a circle, if we draw a triangle. This is a new feature that came out a couple months ago, and this is not available in the 2016 version or in the online version. So I always find the app is my go-to place to see what's new and what's coming. What I also love is in this pane here, we can go and see what is coming by clicking on the settings button about what's new in the version. Under the About tab, we click what's new, and here's something that, oh, let's have a look. With the OneNote app, we now have table shading. So you can give your tables a makeover and add colorful shading to rows, cells, or columns to make your tables easier to read. The last time I was in here, this wasn't available. So always a great way to see at a glance what's new and what's coming up. So let's deselect the tool that turns our mouse or our finger into a drawing tool. Let's click over to the Insert tab, put our mouse somewhere on the page, insert a table, and now you'll see that a contextual menu has popped up. These menus are only available if you're clicking on the specific item that you would apply these sorts of settings to. So if I click out of the table, you'll notice the table tab is gone. If I click my mouse into a table, that contextual menu is back. And here is the shading feature they're talking about. This was not available the last time I was in here, so this is really cool. Look at that. So we can now change the colors of our cells. That's awesome. Cool. Other recent additions to the OneNote app to note is the ability to replay selected content. I'm sure someone in an upcoming presentation will be talking about these features more thoroughly, so I'm going to save that for them, but definitely something that you may want to consider exploring and checking out. One thing about the OneNote app that I do want to point out is the ability to hide the pages list can be very helpful for those that are into drawing. Clicking this will remove that whole panel and give you more space to be able to take your stylus or your mouse and draw. What I really love as well about the OneNote app is its integration with Windows 10. And let's take a few moments to talk about that. For those of you that have a Surface, I have one, I have a Surface Pro 3, and it comes with a Surface Pen. One of my favorite features that I can't show you here today because I don't have a webcam for you to see my face is the ability to click on the top of my Surface Pen, have the app automatically launch even if my Surface is locked, take a quick note, and then it'll be saved in my recent notes section until the next time I open up my Surface and I can go and move that note somewhere else. So let's deselect the draw with the mouse. Let's unhide our page list. And let's just take a quick second to show you what I'm talking about the quick notes. So if we go to the Home tab and we get out of our recent notes and into one of our notebooks, we'll see that pretty much every notebook comes with a quick notes section. This is where any notes that you take on the go, think of it as that post-it note or that little list that you made on a scrap piece of paper. When you make these types of notes with OneNote, this is where they get stored. So if I switch from the My Notebook to the Project X, you'll see that this one has a quick notes section as well. What you can do is, depending on if you're in the app or if you're in the 2016 version, is you can choose which quick notes section will be your default one. We can do this in our settings, go into our options, and we can choose a notebook for the quick notes. So in this case, I think the My Notebooks makes the most sense. What this will do is that every time we make a quick note, they're all going to end up in this section here. So let's talk about how we can do that. If you have a device that has Cortana installed, you can talk to her and ask her to make a note for you. She'll record your voice, make a new page, put that audio recording on there for you, and it'll be stored in your quick notes until you're ready to access it. What I really like is if I close out of this program and I go into my Action Center, there's a button right here that allows me to take these quick notes on the go. By clicking here, it automatically launches the program. I can take a note and be on my way. And as you can see, if you have the quick note selected, you can see that it's being stored in your quick notes section. We'll go back to my notebook, to my quick notes. There it is. And if I right click, I can move or copy this page into a more applicable area. Let's say my section. It's been moved. I'll move my new page out of there as well. This time though, I don't want to store it in my notebook. I'm going to go back to my list into Project X, and this one is applicable to Project X, so I'm going to move it over there. My quick notes is now empty. We can see that the notes I was taking are all in the right spot. This was one of those examples where in the OneNote Online version, the ability to right-click and move or copy pages isn't there yet. There is the ability to drag pages between sections in the online one, but you don't really have as much flexibility to move pages or move sections around. This would be a key reason why you may consider opening a notebook from online into the app. One more feature that I'm going to point out is I'm going to open Edge. If you open Microsoft Edge and perform some research, let's find a good article. Here we go. 10 unique ways to use OneNote. I've never read this before. You read this article and you go, yeah, this is fantastic. I want to be able to reference this later. We have built-in tools in Edge that allow us to make a web note and share a web note. These two tools are only compatible with the app. You cannot make or share a web note and have it automatically save into the OneNote 2016 program. This is one of the main reasons why I started using the app more frequently. The way to get around that is what I've done here. Have your notebook open in the app and have your notebook open in the 2016 version. When a change is made in one section, it'll show up in the other. So if we go to my notebook and I go to my Kelly section on my next steps page, so you'll see if I type some text here, the next time this notebook syncs, that text is appearing on this page. So if I'm using the make or share web notes to the app, they will automatically also be available in the 2016 version when they sync. Now, if you have a little bit more that you want to do, you can actually make a web note. And this, again, it's only compatible with the OneNote app. So you won't be able to send these sorts of web notes into the 2016 version. This allows you to, let's draw, highlight, add a little note. Member to XYZ. And when you're done, you can save it. Again, it's going to ask you for a recent section. It's only going to give you sections that you have open in the OneNote app. And when you're done choosing your location, you press save. And it'll tell you that that note was saved and allow you to view the note. So let's talk about some of the disadvantages of the OneNote app. First things first, if you have a legitimate reason to need to store a notebook on your local hard drive or network drive instead of in the cloud, you can't do that with the app. The app is designed to be compatible with storage in the cloud. If you need to store a notebook on your desktop or on your computer or your device, you still have a way to do that with the OneNote 2016 version. I personally don't recommend it. In my opinion, putting your files in the cloud is really unleashing the power of OneNote because that allows you to have your notebooks open on multiple devices and have all the information sync. It allows you to share with other people, and it allows you just to have a more seamless experience. If your device gets lost or stolen or you drop a cup of coffee on it, your information is gone unless you're backing up regularly. And I'm not a fan of losing information. That's why I use OneNote. It can help me find everything easily and quickly. Another point is the Office integration is limited. A lot of the features that those of us in the 2016 version know and love. Let's pull this up. So some of the features that allow us to integrate our OneNote experience with the Outlook program are not available in the app. Some of the features around embedding spreadsheets, which is an Excel spreadsheet, is not available in the app. They are only available at this time in the 2016 version of OneNote. The other thing about the app that can be a bit frustrating for people is you can't set up customizations. Right now, we don't have the ability to create custom tags. We don't have the ability to insert or create custom templates, or the ability to customize your quick access toolbar at the top here. These are things that I'll show you in the 2016 version that I find personally makes my experience much more enjoyable. One feature that is really nice about the app is being able to quickly see who else is working in a notebook with you. So if you're collaborating with a colleague or a friend, let's say you're planning a trip somewhere and you're all using one notebook to store all the information, you can see if they're on that page right now doing work. So because I'm logged in with 2 accounts, it's telling me, hey, O365A is on this page right now. And if we were both typing at the same time, we would be seeing their notes appear on the screen in, well, let's say almost real time, because the sync needs to occur. So every time the sync completes, they will pop up and appear for you. So now let's take a look at my favorite version of OneNote, OneNote 2016. OneNote 2016 is available as a free download at the beginning of the... Now let's take a look at my favorite version of OneNote, OneNote 2016. OneNote 2016 is available as a free download from the onenote.com website, where we started the beginning of this presentation. If you don't have it installed already, we just scroll to the bottom. Here we go. We have the ability to install OneNote 2016 on all of our favorite Windows, Apple, and Android devices. If we click on Windows Desktop, which is typically how most of us work on a computer, we can then download the program onto our machine. And what I love about the 2016 version is you get all of the functionality. None of the functionality is grayed out and you have to pay and purchase an OneNote subscription through Office 365 to use it. It is free. Absolutely my favorite announcement from the OneNote team was when they shared that with us. So let's open up the 2016 version. Let's change our view to 100% so we can see what's going on. So OneNote 2016, I feel, is designed for power users. It's great for those that have mastered the basics and want more power. They want to be able to do more. As I mentioned before, moving around between notebooks is super easy. We can easily click between. I also like that we have the ability to see the nested folder structure of a notebook. So if we pull these open, we can see all of our sections in our notebook pane, and they can be expanded or collapsed based on what our needs are. If I go to, let's say, my research and notes section, you'll really get an idea of what's going on here. So this is my notebook where I store all the different little articles that I find while I'm out and about on different topics. And this can give you a really easy way to go and say, hey, let's look at Office 365, let's go look at Blinklight, let's go look at Android, and I can bounce around without having to really dig too deep. Definitely makes it easier to figure out where you are. I find that the app does make it a little bit more difficult for users to figure out where they are. They have to look here, but the navigating around can be a bit counterintuitive sometimes for some of us. The other thing that is really great about the 2016 version is the ability to customize the layout. When I'm trying to figure out what version I'm in, I always look at the ribbon first, but for most users, they typically know they're in 2016 because the Pages pane is on the right. If you're in the app, your Pages pane is on the left. If you're in the browser version, again, your Pages pane is on the left. With the 2016 version, you do have the ability to move this Pages pane over to the left if you want. You just go File, Options, and we have a ton of options here for us under the Display tab around where we want things to appear. So Pages pane on the left, one checkbox, good to go. You can also change where your navigation and scroll bars appear in the program as well. So definitely the ability to customize the 2016 version is far superior. We also in 2016 have the ability to move our notebooks around in our list. So I'm going to put my notebook and my Project X right up at the top. There we go. In the app version, what I've discovered is your notebooks are not stored or listed alphabetically. I found that they are listed in the order which you've opened them. So if you want Project X to appear above my notebook, you actually have to right click, close this notebook, press OK, and then go and open your notebook again to change your order. So a lot of work. With the online version, we are stuck with our notebooks appearing in an alphabetical list. I'm a fan of alphabetical. It's easy to navigate, easy to find stuff. But yeah, again, you can't drag and drop these around into the order that you want. The other thing that you can't really customize in the online version or in the app is the names of your notebooks. So if you go into 2016, I love this. What I do is, if, for example, research and notes, if I go into properties, I can change the display name. So even though the file could be called research, and then I've modified the content of it, I don't necessarily want to rename the file, but I can go and give it a nice display name. And this is how, if you see these little stars appearing, that's what I've done. I like to use the little symbols to help make certain things stand out a little bit more than other ones. So being able to customize the display names of notebooks in OneNote 2016 is a huge thumbs up for me. The third customization that you can do in the OneNote 2016 version that you cannot in the other two, that I hands down love, is the ability to add certain buttons to the quick access toolbar. The way to do this is if you find a button that you're using day in and day out that's located on one of these tabs that you have to remember to go click on, you can go hover over it, right click, and add to the quick access toolbar. Now this button is always available, so no matter what you're doing and what you're working on, you can click it, and that feature, so in this case changing the paper size, is now easily at your fingertips. The one that I highlight, and actually before I move on, right click, remove, super simple. The one that I always recommend new users set up in the quick access toolbar is the clear all formatting. The reason for this is if you highlight on some text, the clear all formatting button is not available in the little pop-up. If you right click, again, you're not getting it. So if you don't know the keyboard shortcut, you're having to go and move over to home to go get to it. Unless you're a keyboard shortcut fan like I am and you know by heart that Control-Shift-N will clear your formatting, highly recommend putting that formatting button in your quick access toolbar. The other thing that you're probably wondering, hey Kelly, you know what? What's with all these buttons on the far right in the Home tab? I don't have those. Why do you? OneNote 2016 allows you to install add-ins. So all of the buttons that you're seeing here are an add-in that I downloaded from a website called Onetastic. Onetastic is a great site. Changed my life because it allows you to use macros in OneNote. So certain features that are not available to you, you can now go and download them into the OneNote 2016 program. So sorting pages by, ascending or descending order. There's tons of these. I'm still exploring them all. One thing to keep in mind, of course, when we're dealing with, there's tons of add-ins out there. They're not verified by Microsoft. Some of them work, some of them don't. I find Onetastic is one of those ones where 99% of the time they work exactly as I've expected them to. So definitely worth a few moments of your time if you're a superpower user to check it out. Additionally, if we ignore all of the add-ins and we look at the built-in functionality, things like customizing tags. So if you look at my list of tags, they're going to look a little bit different than yours. Creating custom tags is something that you can do in 2016 only at this time. I love them. I use these as a quick and easy way to figure out, what on my grocery list do I need to buy right now? What sorts of things I have in my pantry that I'm out of or are getting low and I might need to purchase at the grocery store if I see them on sale. Um, you can customize those to be whatever you want. Another handy feature of OneNote 2016 is the ability to change your view and choose the new window button. This is a button that's available in all of Office 2016. Essentially, it opens a second window for your document so you can work in different places at the same time. I use this all the time. If I'm working here on my Android notes and I go, I know I was working on something else in a different location, I can click New Window, and then I can toggle, have my pages open side by side. Move these a little bit over. There we go. And then what I can do is I can be over here on a different page, in a different notebook entirely, looking for information and not have to worry about losing my place. Love this. You can keep clicking this button over and over and have 3, 4, 10 different instances of the notebook open. Another reason I love the new window button is the ability to then use the search in my second window while I have my original note-taking page open. Search in 2016, in my opinion, is superior to the app or the online one, and that's because I can look for partial words. So for example, if I start typing the word apple, you're seeing that big long list shrinking the closer I get to the word we're looking for. So there, now I have 228 instances of the word apple across all sorts of different notebooks. Key tip, pinning your search results pane open in 2016 allows you some extra power because now instead of just sorting by the date it was modified, you can sort by the title or you can sort by the section. Another reason that I love search in OneNote is the ability to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to just search all the notebooks. Let's just search this specific section, or let's search for this particular notebook itself. The other thing I can do is instead of searching by a keyword, I'm going to search by a tag. So let's make this nice and big. So you can actually search for tags in OneNote 2016. Now I can go and say, let's group all of my results by tag name. And let's not search this notebook, let's search all the notebooks. So now I can see all the places where I had ideas, where there was critical things going on, places I wrote best practices. And all of these are things I need to buy. Oh, you guys are getting a real idea into my life. All of the things that I have to do, checkboxes unchecked. Now, this show only unchecked items can be really handy because at the end of the day, do you really need to see things that you've already done? I'm going to stop the search because this could go on for a while. As you saw, I have hundreds of notebooks open, but if I wanted to, I could then refine my search and say, just show me this section, refresh. Now I can see there's no tagged items in this particular Kelly's section. And that's fine. I can then expand my search a little more and say, hey, let's search this section group, or let's search this notebook, and expand out as I need to. Search is really, really powerful in 2016. The other thing I love about search, and I'm going to save this for a future presenter, is the ability to search words in images using the OCR technology. I don't find this works as well in the app or in the online version. So if you want to be able to do that, 2016 is your best bet. My final advantage that I'm going to share with you about OneNote 2016 is its screen clipping ability. Really, for me, it's a no-brainer, and this is why. I'm going to close all of my programs. All of my programs. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I will say that I am researching something. Let's go. Okay. And on Google, I'm going to go search for OneNote images. There we go. So I find an image that I like. There we go. I don't have to have OneNote open to take a screen clipping into OneNote. I can press down the Windows. So if you look down at your keyboard, hold down the Windows key, hold down Shift, and press S. I'll take a screen clipping. And what'll happen, OneNote's not even open, but it's going to ask me where I want to send this screen clipping to. So I can say in my notebook, in my quick notes section, send that screen clipping to that selected location. OneNote will automatically open. We can see that that screen clipping is now in the quick notes section. It tells me the date and time that it was recorded. Now in this case, I was doing it from a search. So let's say I was actually on a web page. Let's go visit the page. There we go. Okay, so Windows key Shift S. So this time this is just an image. I'm going to take some text as well. Once again, it's going to ask me where I want to send it. And what's nice is it gives you your recent pics, the places that you most recently were. We'll just say the same one this time. We'll send it to the location. OneNote 2016 will open up. Here is our screen clipping. And we now have the ability to do certain things such as copy text from image. When we search for a word, let's say description, notice how the text in that image is highlighting. It can find that word, and I haven't even finished typing the word, and it's visible here in this image. And just to prove to you, if I right click and go save as, this is a PNG file. It's not some text hybrid. I love this. Super helpful when I'm out and just doing a large amount of research. I'm throwing images, files, text into my notebook. I can easily find things I was looking for. Now, the other way you can do this is if you don't want to use your keyboard shortcuts, we have in our little hidden icons our Send to OneNote button. And what this does, if I right click on it, you can now see that it'll allow you to take that quick note, open OneNote, or take a screen clipping with a couple clicks if you prefer not doing the keyboard shortcuts. And you can set the default of this icon if you want as well. The new note, the new quick note is Windows key N. So let's try that out. Windows key N, and automatically a little quick note has opened up. It looks kind of like a sticky note. It definitely looks like a sticky note. Remember to feed the cat. So I've given myself a reminder. I haven't named it. I haven't saved it. I close it. The next time I open the program and it syncs, my default quick notes location, there's my remember to feed the cat. And I can go and move this to my location of choice, move, and now there's my note. One thing that you'll notice here in 2016 that isn't available in the other ones is the bolding. You're going, why is this one bolded and this one not? I love the history tab. What this allows you to do is see all the places across all the notebooks you have open where there's information that you haven't read yet. So in this example, how to OneNote, it's bold. I click on it. I can now scroll through all the different pages and see not only what page changes were made on, but what information was changed. Highlighted in green, I can see the author by hovering over it. It's my buddy Joel, a fellow MVP. He's a Windows Insider for Windows Phone. If you ever have questions about Windows Phones, he's your guy to go to. So this allows me to very easily stay informed of what's changing across all of my notebooks. And I can keep clicking and it'll take me and then let me know when everything has been read. Love it, can't live without it. So the point of this video is not only to talk about the advantages of each program, but also discuss the disadvantages. Honestly, I have a hard time speaking about the disadvantages of OneNote 2016. It's my favorite version. Absolutely love it. I guess we could say that it's a bit cluttered. There's a lot going on. To find a nice, clear, clutter-free environment, it is possible, but it can be a little bit overwhelming for people that are just getting started. I guess another disadvantage could be that you're going to have to wait very patiently. In fact, maybe some of the brand new features that we're seeing in the app and the online version may never reach the OneNote 2016 version. I don't know. At least we know that we're going to be waiting a while. The third disadvantage is the lack of Windows 10 integration. I would love to be able to send the web notes from Edge right into 2016 without having to install the WebNote Clipper. Although, really, at the end of the day, the Clipper I think is far superior. It works so well. It gives you so many more little bells and whistles to play with than what's built into Edge. And the final, I'm going to call it a disadvantage, is the ability for users to create new notebooks and store them on their PC. I don't think this is the right way to go with your notebooks. I highly, highly recommend that if you want to learn how to set up OneNote correctly, store it in the cloud. Creating and storing your notebooks in the cloud unlocks the magic and power of OneNote. As I mentioned earlier, you will not be able to access your notebooks on multiple devices, your computers, your tablets, your phones, or share them with other people if you do store them on your PC. Please consider storing them in your OneDrive, or if you're a business and you have a SharePoint site as part of your Office 365 account, store them in your SharePoint sites as well. They work really well in SharePoint sites. SharePoint sites add an extra layer of protection because the SharePoint permissions, the site permissions, will trump the OneNote sharing. So if you are trying to share a notebook that is stored in a SharePoint site with someone that is outside of your organization or does not have access to that site, it will not work. They will not be able to access that notebook. And in some ways for, corporations, for organizations, for businesses, that's a good thing. We want that extra level of security. We want an IT professional or a organization to be able to define who can see what. If you are interested in learning how to set up notebooks in SharePoint, I will warn you, the interface here to be able to easily navigate to that location in a library to store the file is a bit tricky. So what I tend to do is I like to use the browse button instead. And what I do is instead of going this way and navigating down, I put my cursor into this field, I delete the URL, I open up my SharePoint site, and in this case, I just have a little demo site that we have set up at IT Groove for me to be able to play around. I go into the location I want my notebooks to live, let's say in this case, documents. I then take the web address and copy it, and I go back into OneNote and I paste that into this URL. Press enter. I find this so much easier than trying to navigate down through the structure, and sometimes you may not have the ability to do that. So if this was like way too much for you and you're like, that was too complicated, Kelly, I would say really at the end of the day, if you have the ability, if your SharePoint site is set up and allows you to create new notebooks right from within the document library, go that route. This will be 10 times easier to go to the library, create a new notebook. We'll call this the SharePoint notebook. Press create, have it spin up. It'll auto open, as we mentioned before, in OneNote Online. And then all you have to do is edit in OneNote to have it launch in your 2016 version of SharePoint. It's just checking. It's because I've logged in as kmershall@itgroove.ca before, it already knows and can authenticate who I am. It's going to wait a little bit and my notebook will be open. Any changes that I make in 2016 will sync up. There we go. We'll sync up to the cloud or to the SharePoint site on premise if that's where your SharePoint site lives. It'll all sync. I also find if we're using SharePoint Online in Office 365 and the Microsoft Cloud, things just are so much more seamless. So SharePoint Notebook demo. And 2, 3. We do a little sync this notebook now. When I close this, we can see that my changes are already visible in the online version. Because we've gone into the OneNote app and OneNote 2016 in a very deep way, I'm just going to cover a few things in OneNote Online before we wrap up. So our File tab, again, About, we don't have the ability to see what's new and what's coming in the online version. We have to go and read the Office blogs. In our Home tab, we do have tagging. We don't have the ability to create new ones, but we've got quite a few compared to the app. If you remember, it only had 4 or 5 available to us. I noticed this recently. I was very surprised. We have the ability to integrate our notebook page with meeting details from an Outlook calendar event. That's exciting. Inserting content, this is definitely a lot more than there was before. So we can add new pages and sections, but if we actually put our cursor somewhere on the screen, we can now insert tables, we can add our pictures, we can attach files, links, symbols, we can record audio, that's also fairly new. The Office add-ins, these are not things that I mentioned earlier in 2016. This is not the ability to integrate Onetastic or another third-party add-in. These are Office add-ins that you would get from the store or from your organization. Moving on from insert, we do have page versions in online. That's super awesome. We can see authors, so who else has been in the notebook making changes. We can switch our view from kind of an editing view to a reading view. It kind of hides that ribbon. I quite like that. So very pared down compared to the 2016 version, but much more robust than what we see in the app. What I love, give your feedback to Microsoft. Let them know what you love, let them know what you don't like, and most importantly, give them suggestions. All your suggestions are going into the user voice. User Voice is a third-party service that the OneNote team uses to keep track of all of the requests that people have made. What I love about this forum is you can go and you can vote for your favorite improvements. So you can vote which ones you think would make the most benefit to your life. They want to hear from you. User Voice, definitely a great place to go to give feedback and contribute to the community by sharing with others what you think is important to you. Now, I could probably talk for another 30 minutes, but we are out of time. Everyone, I want to thank you again so much for spending time with me today. My name is Kelly Marshall. I'm a business development manager and coaching consultant with IT Groove in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I want to point this out. You can find me on Twitter at itgroove_Kelly. You can also follow my blog, O365A. I post primarily about OneNote. There's lots of comments that come in. I do my best to respond as quickly as possible. If you ever have questions or ideas for blogs, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you look forward to the rest of the presenters at the Learn OneNote conference. Have a great day.